Hello again. Here we are. And today we are going to be talking about biodiversity. Now, this is the last lesson in our nature series. And the reason why we're going into such depth on nature and where food comes from in nature is because I really want you kiddos to start thinking about this topic and where your food comes from, how the world was designed to feed you and to feed all the animals in the world, and how it works so perfectly together. This is a really special lesson, and I really am excited to get into it with you guys. So here we go. I love this slide because it shows so many beautiful animals, so many beautiful sea animals and reptiles and birds and all kinds of different animals, mammals. It's just so awesome when you sit back and think about how many different types of plants and animals that we have in this world. And this is where all of our food comes from. So, in the lessons before this one, we've gone over, first of all, where your food comes from. It comes from plants and animals from nature. That's the only place that food comes from. We've gone over food chains, starting with the sun and how the energy from the sun is transferred into the plants, how some animals eat the plants, some other animals eat those animals. And when they die, their bodies decompose, go back into the soil, and then the whole process starts over again in the circle of life, it's called. After that, we learned about photosynthesis to understand where that energy first comes from. It first comes from the sun into the plants, and we learn the process by which the plants make their own food. The producers make their own food, they produce their own food, and that starts the food chain. So it all starts with the sun. Um, After that, we got into the different types of eaters. Once you're in the food chain, the sun to the plants to the animals, the different types of eaters, we had herbivores who eat plants, we have carnivores that eat other animals, and we have omnivores that eat both plants and animals. In this lesson, like I said, this is a really special lesson because it kind of brings it all together and shows you how many different varieties of plants and animals we have on this planet and how they work so perfectly together. So I want you to understand the concept of biodiversity. And basically, biodiversity is just a big word for variety. So you can see in this picture, we have a ton of variety of plants and animals in our world, and it's so special. We get in a few minutes, we'll get into the Goldilocks planet and why this planet specifically can sustain all these different kinds of plants and animals and all this life that we get all of our food from, and the whole food system comes from the earth, basically. And so it's really exciting. Like I said, don't be afraid of the word biodiversity. It just means variety, one big happy family. So think of us humans, we hunt for it, we fish for it, we farm for our food, but the point of this lesson is, where did it all come from before all of these human activities, right? Where did all of this come from? I really want you to start to think about the origins of your food and the origins of how you can keep yourself healthy using the plants and animals from this world, because God has given us everything we need to be healthy on this planet, and we need to steward those resources. We need to use them right, and really understand that these were given to us so that we can thrive on this planet. So, if you study nature and you study plants and animals and birds and insects and fish and seeds and sunlight and soil and how it all works together, it's like really quite amazing. It's really a miracle that it works together so well. And if this is a subject that you like, there's so many more things to learn about this. You can learn, how bacteria works in the whole system, in the biodiverse system. You can learn how insects work, how plants work, how animals work, all different kinds of things. And they work together in this system that's just quite a miracle. So, I wanted you to start at the beginning. We've learned about the food chains, we've learned about photosynthesis, we've learned about all these types of things. And now I really want you to understand the concept of biodiversity. So, what biodiversity basically means is difference. So there's different shapes, different sizes, different colors, different plants, different animals. They all have a different genetic makeup, they all have a different purpose. And why this variety is so important in the world is because in order for the world to sustain itself and to keep on keeping on, we need this kind of diversity. Think about, for example, if we only had one kind of animal and say there was some kind of a disease that wiped out that animal, then the entire food chains wouldn't work. The whole system of the circle of life wouldn't work. We need to have different varieties of plants and animals for the world and nature to keep sustaining itself. It's really fun. There's so much to learn. You could, build a whole life and a whole career studying some of these things, and some of you might just do that. What? Why why are we able to sustain this much variety? And here's a concept that's related to this, and it's called the Goldilocks planet. And what it means basically is, it's called the Goldilocks planet because imagine you're looking for a place to live that's just right for you. Not too hot, not too cold, just right to sustain all of this life. So our planet, it has to be warm enough so that the oceans don't freeze, so that the ponds don't freeze, the lakes, but it has to be warm enough also so the plants can grow and all of the species that are in the forests can survive. And so um, it's just like the story in Goldilocks when she's looking for her porridge and she tries one bowl and it's too hot. She tries another bowl and it's too cold. And then finally she finds a bowl of porridge that's just right. And that's how our Earth is. It's called the Goldilocks planet because it's not too hot and it's not too cold. So in this slide, I want you to really visualize this. And you can see where the Earth is right here, the third planet from the sun. We have our big hot sun over here that sustains all life, that starts the food chain, that gives the energy to the plants that the animals eat, that we eat. And we're situated in the universe in such a place where it's not too hot. If you look here, Mercury and Venus are closer to the sun than the Earth, and it's too hot for life there. As of now, we don't know that there's any life on these planets. Too hot. Too hot. All the other planets that are further from the sun than the Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune, all too cold to sustain life. So that's why the Earth is called the Goldilocks planet. We found the perfect home in the whole universe. This planet is created to be able to sustain this kind of amazing biodiversity. Um, all we know is that all the other planets don't have any life on them. We're exploring Mars. We're going to see what's there, see if there's water on any of these planets. But as of now, not only does the Earth sustain a little bit of life, it sustains hundreds of thousands of different species of life. And all the other planets don't sustain any at all. And so that's why the Earth is called the Goldilocks planet. It's really a cool idea. So back to biodiversity, I want you to understand the concept of there's three different kinds of variety in the biological world. And this is a little bit more complex, so some of our younger students will need some help from their parents to understand these concepts. But I'm going to keep them really simple. We're just going to touch on them here. Sizzle Kids isn't necessarily a science based course or a science based lesson, but I want you to understand these ideas because it gives you uh, just the sense of awe of how wonderful our planet is and how we should take care of it and how it provides everything that we need. So, real quick, the first kind of diversity that we have is genetic diversity. You'll see here, and that just means that all the different plants and animals they have different genes. And again, that is important so that if one gene gets just messed up by anything, by the weather, by a disease, by anything, there's so many different genes and building blocks that the plants and animals are made of, that if one doesn't work for whatever reason, the other ones will pick up the slack. And there's so many different building blocks of life that if we don't have one, we're going to be okay. If we just had one kind of DNA, one kind of gene, then we wouldn't be able to sustain the life that we have now on the planet. So that's genetic diversity. Gets very, very scientific, gets very complicated, is an amazing area to study. And some of you that are interested in that might want to study that further. But for now, I just want you to understand one kind of biodiversity that's important to nature is genetic diversity. The second kind is species diversity. This is a little easier to understand. It just means we have all different kinds of animals and plants. So within each different kind of animal and plant, there's lots of other different kinds. So here you see a picture of butterflies and all the different kinds of butterflies there are. We don't have just one type of butterfly. We have hundreds and hundreds of types of butterflies. Same with, just say, dogs, right? You understand that one family might have a golden retriever and another family might have a poodle. And all of these dogs have different genetics and different traits, and that contributes to the biodiversity of the animal planet. Um, Hundreds of thousands of species of insects. Within the insect category, you have thousands of types of beetles, for example, different kinds of bees, different kinds of ants, different kinds of all the different animals and insects and everything. So, species diversity is really important, that we have all different kinds of animals. And again, I just get so just in awe of how many different kinds of species we have on this planet and how they all survive together. And not only survive together, they work together. They work together to create this huge system of biodiversity and this huge system of nature that supports each other and it supports us. And so when we're talking about food, just our little area of food, all of this biodiversity contributes to providing enough food and the right kinds of food that support us as humans. So it's really amazing. It's really cool. I really love this part of the lesson. I love this subject. Again, you could get much deeper into species diversity and classification of animals, and some of you might love to do that. So the last type of diversity that we have, a variety that we have, is ecosystem diversity. So we don't just have forests and we don't just have deserts and we just don't have oceans or swamps or grasslands. We have them all on this planet. We have all these different ecosystems. Again, an area that you could just get so much deeper into, and you could learn everything there is to learn about the oceans. The oceans are its own ecosystem. The deserts of the world, they have their own ecosystem as well. The rainforests are so amazing and they have their own um, ecosystem as well. So we have all these different ecosystems on Earth that contribute to all the variety of the plants and animals that we have on the planet. And this goes back to how our planet is specifically designed to support life, to support all the plants, all the animals, and especially us humans on this planet, to feed us, to sustain us, and to just help us to thrive. So I know this lesson is a little more scientific than some of the other lessons, and I really just wanted to present it to you so that you can get a full picture of the food chain, starting with the sun and the plants, and then the animals, and then how the animals go back into the soil and grow the plants, and then what kind of different eaters there are. That some animals eat plants, some animals eat other animals, and some animals eat both. And then the reason why there's so much, why nature can survive the way that it does on this planet is because of this biodiversity. And why this is available to this planet is because of the Goldilocks concept, that the Earth is the only planet that's just right for life on the Earth, and it sustains us, it feeds us, and as we take care of it and as we use it properly, the world just provides, the planet, God provides everything we need to survive on this planet and to thrive. And I want you kids to get an idea of that as you go forth in your life and you're learning about food. There's so much information about out there about what to eat and what not to eat. And if you start from a place that just goes back to the beginning and how the world was created and how we are meant to eat, you're going to have a good basis and a good foundation to start your life and to start thinking about how you're going to take care of yourself. So, I'm excited about this lesson. I hope you are too. We're going to get into in the next lessons where you get your food. So, you don't live in the wild. Most of us don't live in the wild, and we get our food from all different places, starting from the wild, growing it yourself, even if it's in your own backyard or on a farm or on a ranch, all the way through various different ways of getting food, all the way up to the supermarkets that we can just go to and buy food. So we're gonna get into that next, but I really, really have enjoyed teaching you guys about nature and about where food actually comes from. It comes from plants and animals on this beautiful, amazing planet. So we'll see you in the next lesson.